just let it settle down a little bit. We're starting to run out of gravel actually here. But okay, so in these natural meanders, you have a bit of erosion, see there, on the outside of the banks. And you have a bit of settlement, and you have erosion, settlement going through, and you have different depths of water. You have some deep bits, and you have shallow bits. And the shallow bits will be good places for trout and salmon to spawn, and the deep bits will be places where the young fish can live. That could be a deep bit, yeah, well that's deeper than that bit, isn't it? So in a natural river, the fish will swim upstream, and they come to an area like this, and they spawn and lay their eggs, and then the fry would hatch and go into the deep bits. But what we've done over the last few years, last 50 or so years, is we've started engineering our rivers differently. Okay? So a lot of it is to try and get the water from the top of the hill to sea as quickly as possible. And what we've done, we've taken out a lot of the natural features, they're all gone, and we've straightened these river channels, just straight as an arrow lines like this. Okay? That's enough? That's enough? No, just keep nice now. That's fine like that. Okay, now when it rains, in the summer months, it probably is okay. Stays, get a little bit of rain coming down. So it's all fairly stable in the summer months, that's fine, and the land's getting is dry around it. But of course, autumn and winter, we get floods. And what happens then? You see all the gravels in the riverbed are moving a lot more rapidly, okay? And the river channel's getting wider, you're getting erosion on both banks. It's getting wider and wider and wider and wider and wider. And all that land that's eroding off into there, it's all washing out to sea. That's all farmland, okay? It's basically getting washed away. So you're getting washed away to sea down there, down the plug hole. Yep. Now, and then come low water, back into the following summer. We've still got water running in at the top, but we've got none of these deep water channels. They've all gone, so it's very, very, very shallow and fairly boring habitat for fish. And we've lost all that land, we've ended up with lots of floods, and we've actually not achieved very much at all. Whereas where you have the meandering river, the natural river, it was a lot more stable. You had little bits of erosion and little bits of settlement, and the whole system was balanced. Whereas when you have this sort of engineered, straightened rivers, you have a very unbalanced system. This is poor habitats of fish, it gives greater erosion to land, and it also causes more flooding because we're not holding the water in the top parts of the catchment for so long. So that's what this is trying to demonstrate, that going in and engineering in rivers, dredging rivers out, straightening rivers, is generally a pretty bad thing to do. It will only sort of... The bucket's going to leak, is it? Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really actually solve the problem long term. And we're going through a period of climate change. We're going to get wetter. Sorry? That's the deep, well that's below a waterfall. So you always get a deep bit below a waterfall. You're washing your hands? Well, that's one use of the river. So when you have naturally, like I say, these natural big meanders in the rivers, you have a far more stable environment, okay, which is good for fish and good for land. So everything's a lot more stable, okay? That's what it's trying to solve. We can also do things in here, as you were doing, what happens when you put something into the river. Right? So we dam the river up, and you end up with these sort of scour areas and what have you. Okay?
Just dredging all those?
Well, they've been dredged in the past to drain land. Farmland, basically. Most of the dredged under farming. To have drier land. Same as a lot of wetlands have been drained. Wetlands have been drained to have productive land for growing food. And as a balance we've got to sort out, because obviously we need farmland, we need to be growing food. But we also need to retain water on the land for as long as possible, so that we don't have these big flood events downstream. So we've got to have a debate we've got to have in society to balance all of this up. We're going to have to allow farmland to flood a lot more. And allow it to perform its natural function. Instead of continuing to try to dry off into conditions of growing crops straight away.